brought Pauper to the party. Pauper. I brought Pauper to the party.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 55 of the PDH Pod, the one and only Magic the Gathering podcast dedicated to the total exploration of the Pauper Commander format. I am your host, Brad Drek V, and let's see what my co-hosts from the East Coast are up to first. Dave the Alcadron Vader, I haven't talked to you in like forever. What have you been up to in the last couple days?
I have just been hanging out, and like for the first time in the approximate year that you've been introducing me as your co-host, Ghost, I feel the need to give you a actually. I am originally from Michigan.
That is true.
Which is, first of all, why I talk normally. And secondly, where I am now. And it's beautiful here.
What?
I'm chilling at my parents' house, and things are spectacular. I'm spending some time with the family. My entire extended family lives in mid-Michigan, and I'm just vibing out here with them. I'm going back to Boston land on Saturday.
Oh, so you're taking a nice little extended break.
Yeah. Well,
That's great.
I'm a school teacher, and school's out for summer. School's out forever.
I should write a song. Yeah, that should be a song.
I feel like those would make really good song lyrics.
Probably.
If anyone wants
At least
to get
like
in touch with
50
me,
years ago.
yeah. If anyone wants to get in touch with me about licensing that, give me a call. I'll accept cash and PayPal.
Yep, and Magic cards, Vanguard cards.
Vanguard. Well, no, I don't need Vanguard cards anymore.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
We got them all. All right, next up, as usual, is our resident PDH PhD, Liam. It was absolutely great to see you in person. How's it going?
It is going fantastically. I am all caught up on sleep. Made the 8-hour drive up there on Friday. I think about 8.5 hours. I made one stop, and that was 7.5 hours in.
Yeah, you made really good time. Seemed like.
And then on the way back, it was 10 hours. Made significantly more stops. And then I think I was home for about 4 hours, and then drove what is technically a 10-hour drive, but was 12 down to see my parents. So yeah, in about 24 hours, I went through 9 states and DC, and was in the car for 20 of them.
That is a lot of drive. Like, I'm used to driving a lot, but that is a lot of driving.
Oh, it was a lot.
Yeah, you made really good time up there. I feel like one of my last stops before I got to Detroit or what have you, you had posted it in our little group chat that you were like, oh, last leg of the trip, I made it here in 7.5 hours. And I was looking down at my phone like, I still have 2 hours left. I still have 2 hours. Like, what am I doing? Because you and I have about the same drive.
And you left an hour and a half before I did.
Yeah, right? And I was like, what is happening here? I felt like my phone was stuck on 2 hours for like the last half of the trip. It was like not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, speed laws may or may not have been broken. There are sections of 422 going through Pennsylvania and Ohio that are limited to 45 that I may have been doing a little above that, but
sure, that's
I
fair.
will not self-incriminate myself. I will just suggest potential explanations.
Yep, he had places to be. Come on.
I did have places to be.
I cannot imagine driving through Pennsylvania without speeding.
Yeah, right?
I'm trying to imagine like the kind of person who drives, because like when I drive from Boston back home, like I gotta go through Ohio because my wife's family's from Ohio. So like we're not going through New York and then Canuckistan. We're going through, Pennsylvania and then Ohio and then up into Michigan. And like so we drive through the entirety of Pennsylvania. Like from the east edge of it to the west edge. And I'm trying to imagine someone who can do that drive at the speed limit the whole time, and like I think that person is either 94 years old or a sociopath. Possibly both.
It could. Those are the worst kind.
I pretty religiously follow traffic laws, and I have a little app and plug into my car to prove it. but my scores tanked from this trip. I was not. I was like, I've got an 8-hour drive. I'm not following traffic laws.
Yeah.
I support you.
Yep. All right, good times, good times. But before we move on to the main topic, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, if you like the show and you like what we're doing here, check us out over on Patreon at patreon.com/thepdhpod, just like the Sanctuary PDH and Jansen Inn did in the last couple of days. Welcome to the PDH Pod family, both of you. Thank you for your support. That really means a lot to us, like more than I think we normally express. I know it means a ton to me, ton to Dave, ton to Liam, and we welcome y'all in and talk to you guys in the Discord, but I don't think we really thank y'all enough. So, yeah, it's really appreciated.
Fills our hearts with joy.
Yes, absolutely. And by being a patron, you get access to the pre-show, which is like a little bonus episode every single week, and everybody loves that, supposedly, I hope. And then I usually post the actual episode on Patreon before it goes out live, along with the show notes, so you can follow along with whatever we are talking about. And then finally, like I mentioned earlier, you get access to our Discord, the PDH Pod Discord server, where you can chat with the crew, get help with your decks, all that good stuff. And then we're also just the PDH Pod on Twitch every Saturday evening at 5 p.m. Central, and on YouTube whenever we get around to actually making video content for that particular platform. But do we got any This Week in Magic, Liam?
Yeah, we do have a few things this week in Magic. First off, Secret Layers again. The spring super drop had a bit of a conundrum right at the end. It apparently, you were unable to order it in like the last 4 to 5 hours it was supposed to be live. Like it was supposed to be live until 7 or 9 a.m. Pacific on the last day, but it like stopped at like 2 a.m. Pacific, something like that. Mm-hmm. Which to me, I don't really feel bad for the people that missed it because they were available for 2.5 months.
Right.
And the day that they stopped going live was a Monday, so it's also not really like people were waiting for paychecks to hit the bank account. I don't understand why people complained about like I can understand like, you know, a product was expected to be available for 5 to 7 more hours, but it was also available for 2.5 months. So I don't particularly feel bad. And then later that same day, the summer super drop went live. And I want to say this summer super drop is single-handedly the worst super drop I've ever seen them put out. I thought, honestly, a year and a half ago, 2 Novembers ago, when they did the super drop that contained the first ever extra life secret layer. Not the extra life secret layer itself, but it was like a squirrel secret layer. The super drop that was a part of, I think that held for the longest time like the worst super drop. This super drop is pretty bad. All of the layers like don't have any financial value. I understand that secret layers aren't really something people should be speculating on, and I understand that they are unique artwork and that is what drives their sales. However, expecting me to pay $30 to $40 for cards that collectively are 75 cents is a joke.
Yeah.
Like when it's cards that are being reprinted for the first time in 20 years or cards that have first time foils. Yeah, the price point that they've come to, that they've settled on makes sense. $30 for non-foils, $40 for foils. And whenever it's a special treatment like the halo foiling or the textured foiling, whatever, it goes up to 40, 50, 40 for the non-foil, 50 for the foiling or whatever. And that makes sense. But when you have multiple layers in a super drop where the collective value is below $5, I don't get it. There has to be a point at which people don't purchase these things. There has to be a point when people don't purchase these things. Because, I mean, the flip side is no one's going to buy these things, and these versions are going to be, rarer than 100 serialized cards, and they will be expensive because nobody freaking bought them. But nobody wants to buy 75 cents worth of cards
for $40.
For $30.
$30, yeah. That's just simple math right there.
It's so bad. I don't... Like, these actually just suck. Like... Yeah, so that's Secret Lair. The other change is a little more it's a little more. I don't want to call it strange, but divided.
Mm-hmm. Very polarizing.
I wouldn't say polarizing. I would say confusing. So, so internally, WotC has gone away from the term tribal, and they have begun to use the term typal. That is TYPAL. So instead of saying goblin tribal or human tribal or wizard tribal, you would say goblin typal, human typal, wizard typal. This is akin to saying humans matter or goblins matters, like describing the deck style that you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
The small little tiny press release, the small little article they put out about it, and then the little blurb that Mark Rosewater had to say about it, I can understand where they're coming from. They have apparently talked to what are these consultants, external consultants about this issue, about the word tribal and the effect it may have on specific groups of people, in particular indigenous folks,
Sure.
the Native Americans. But on the flip side of this coin, I don't think I've ever seen any group more upset about this than the American Indians, the Native Americans of Magic the Gathering. Like, they don't care. They're actually upset by this because they see tribal as a positive term. They see it as a term representing family or gathering or tradition.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I can kind of see that. So I'm very torn on this issue of, is this, were the consultants that WotC talked to, like, because the only people that had this conversation were people behind closed doors. So we don't know what went on in this conversation.
Right.
But we're being told that the conversation has been had. But has it? Like, I don't know. So I like to have all the information before I make a choice. And I think where I'm personally at on this is I will make a conscious effort to change what I'm saying if someone actively tells me in a space that it upsets them. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
if I say, yeah, this is my wizard tribal deck, and someone's like, hey, not a fan of the word tribal, can you use typal? Absolutely. I'll either use typal or I'll say, wizards matters. But I don't know that I'm going to try and completely remove the term from my lingo, because the group of people that this is supposedly helping seems to be against the change. So I just don't know.
I wonder if this is going to become one of those things like Commander and EDH, where like the community just uses both forever.
Yeah, because I just don't know. Like, I'm happy to make the change if it is not important, if it's called for. But I also don't want to actively be offending the people that it's supposed to be helping.
Right. Sure.
So I just don't know. Someone tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, but I'll probably just be using them interchangeably as I have been. And I think overall I've usually used matters, but sometimes I use tribal. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it till all this came up either. I think I've used it, the term tribal, on Twitter or in comment threads more than I have in actually in a pod or talking to other people verbally, like in person, because I usually just say this is my elves deck.
Yeah, I think
or my goblins deck. I rarely say goblin tribal or this tribal.
I think verbally I tend to say wizards matters or slivers matters.
Yeah.
But I think,
and I'll do it. I'll kind of do spoofs on it, oh, this is my burn you to the face tribal deck. Not actual creatures, but just some silly spell. This is my sorcery tribal deck, or something.
And typal just seems weird because tribal is a card type, but goblin and wizard and human are subtypes. They are creature types. They're subtypes of the card type creature. Typal is weird to me because typal to me would describe artifacts matters or enchantment matters more so than it would describe wizards matters. Both are technically types, but there are card types and then there are subtypes, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's too much.
Sure.
What's
And
fun
then-
to me is that I've long
And then don't
used
even
the
get me
word-
started on like super types where you have legendary and snow matters. So what do I know?
I've long used the word tribal. When people started to use people got into the word tribal around like Lorwyn because that's when it got introduced as a card type, and like you
Yeah.
started having
Yeah.
like goblin typed instance or
Yeah,
changeling
that's
typed
that's where it
sorcerers or
comes
whatever.
from.
But like so for a long time after that, it just meant creature subtypes.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I started really abusing it in like in the 20 tweens. Like I built what's her name? Roshin. I built a Roshin Meander EDH deck that I referred to as Fireball Tribal. And people were
Right.
like, Fireball isn't a tribe. And I was like,
Exactly.
tell that to my
That's what I'm
Fireball,
saying.
idiot.
Here it comes. You
Take
tell it to
27. Like, then I built
Exactly.
what's the stupid one I built? I built Maelstrom Wanderer. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Tribal, and everyone was like,
Sure.
"That's not even close to a creature type. That's not even a spell type." I was like, "Shut up."
Yeah, I had
So,
a
like-
60 card pauper deck with like all discard spells and edicts and stuff. It was my Salt Tribal deck.
Salt Tribal, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it is gonna feel a little weird saying Salt Typal because like
sure.
type's not
Yeah.
a salt, but then it was never a tribe either. So like maybe I'll get used to it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I am, as always, I'm sort of low-key apprehensive of change, but this feels like a small change. It feels like something I could easily get used to, and
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
if it legitimately does make certain people happy, then I'm happy to do it.
Exactly. It's nothing
Yeah.
that's inconveniencing me terribly. I just don't want it to come off as how do I put this nicely? I don't want it to come off as incessant virtue signaling,
Sure, that's
if
fair.
that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely fair.
What else do we think happened this week in Magic?
That's all
Well,
I got. If
anything-
you got something else?
Anything? Were there any events?
I don't know. There was
I think there
there
was.
was like a
Yeah,
pro tour or something
actually.
this weekend.
Yeah, there was. It was almost like a pro tour. Yeah.
No,
I
like
don't know, but
there
if
was like
the,
legit like a pro tour or something this weekend. I think.
Oh, was there?
I think.
Liam, this is
I
not
have
part of the bit.
Not honestly. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm bad at jokes.
Well, all the
That's what I get for making up a bit in the middle of recording. No,
we try that. We try improv. It's so hard.
I was sending up the bat signal. Why can't you read my
There it is.
mind? Or I mean,
All right,
like,
well, for all the
I guess tell me about the Pro Tour if that's a thing that happened.
I'd have
What do we
to-
know about the Pro Tour?
Nothing.
I know nothing about it.
All right,
Zero.
all right. Never mind the Pro Tour.
All I know is that there was like an actual factual MTG event this weekend that people got upset at.
Okay.
Wow, I didn't catch that. It's not surprising, but I didn't. I missed
It's
it.
competitive players.
Yeah.
I am prepared to believe that competitive players got upset.
I'm
Yeah, for sure.
I'm prepared to
Anyway.
believe that nothing will make them
You know who
upset.
didn't get upset?
Tell me about the important event.
The important event. Well, for all the listeners out there, if they have not heard by now, somehow, I don't know how they could not have heard, a whole bunch of the PDH community spent the weekend in Detroit for a 1K tournament at RIW Hobbies. This week, we're going to have sort of a casual conversation about the events of the weekend, our experiences over the whole weekend, sort of start to finish, and we'll leave all the nitty-gritty competitive data stuff up to the likes of like the connoisseurs, Common Theory. I know they already have like spreadsheets of data and guests lined up and all this crazy stuff, or we're just going to kind of talk about the event as a whole. But first, I think we need to start out with the people that helped make the weekend so freaking amazing. Dave, what do you got?
I am delighted to tell you about the people and the main person, the number
main,
one
like hands
mega
down.
fan, the champion of all things. It's got to be Scooby Drew. This man showed up. This is the kindest person on the planet. Like I thought, I mentioned start this episode. I mentioned I'm from Michigan. I thought
Mhm.
when this man started like Midwestern at me, I thought like I can keep up with this guy. Like we can two can play at this game. Like they can't. Like anyone.
No, he's got it on lockdown.
This man is undefeatable. Cannot be touched. He's in a different.
Yep.
I have received playmats, deck boxes. I've seen the pals get hats, koozies. He just gave me a Yargle Opt. He gave me an actual 3D printed Yargle.
Yeah.
He gave me a Slowpoke Mardu Rough Rider. Like it's a Mardu Rough Rider card with it's like Many years ago, Lockfin gave me a Mardu Rough Rider card on which he and his fiance painted slowpokes, and I
Mhm.
loved those dearly. Now I own a Mardu Rough Rider card on which Scooby has
He-
3D printed
Yes.
a slowpoke crashing through the rib cage, just like the Krushak is in the actual art of Mardu Rough Rider. And this is just a thing that exists because Scooby is a goddamn
Amazing.
boss. He is a
Yeah.
hero. So this is the number one person we have to shout out. I also got a ride from the airport. Thank you, Scooby. You are
So many people did. Like every time something came up, Scoob's like, "I got it.
yeah.
I'm right there. I got it. No worries."
This
It was
man
impressive.
cannot be defeated.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, I also got
what a legend.
2 play mats. He 3D printed me and did this whole like Mr. Orfeo setup that I'm gonna throw in my command zone. Like it's so awesome. He nailed it. He killed it the whole weekend.
It's too much. Like don't stop, but it's too much.
Don't stop, but stop. I mean, don't. But yeah, come on.
Who else was there? Half of the rules committee was there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Scarecrow, Clay, Ruffigan, Derek, and I showed up.
And it was nice. I had never actually talked to Ruffigan before, so that was nice. Like not just in person, but like online or anything really. Like we hardly ever have interacted, so that was really cool.
Ruffigan and I interact a lot because the Scarecrow, Ruffigan, and I are the 3 Reddit mods.
Mhm.
We had
Yep.
the entire Reddit mod team there,
Yeah.
all of which are also rules committee members alongside Clay and Derek. So,
Yeah.
we had the common connoisseurs, Clay and Ryan showed up,
Yeah.
repping the common
Mhm.
connoisseur merch, and like this was what was crazy to me. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We
Sure.
round 1, I was wandering around the tournament, like just watching random games happen because I wasn't allowed in the recording booth, and I kept on wandering past tables where people had commanders that were like very elegantly signed by Pauper Ryan from
Yeah.
the Common
He
Connoisseurs.
spends time
And I
on
was
that
like,
signature.
I was like, what happened here? Like, did you guys have you guys like been mailing cards to this man in like Oregon so that he can sign them? How did you get this? Turns out like these people recognized him from his videos before the tournament started, and they handed
Uh-huh.
him their commanders, which were based off of like deck techs that he has promoted big videos about.
Yeah,
And
sure.
they
Like his
were
Let's
like-
build and all that stuff.
They were
Mhm.
like, I want you to sign this card, play with it in my command zone during this tournament. Like, what? How crazy is that?
Yeah,
like,
that's so cool.
good work, Ryan. Like, please
That
ride
is called doing the thing.
please ride that high straight like for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
Common connoisseurs showed up in force. Sanctuary PDH was
In
here.
the house.
Bobby Beefine, he's the mastermind behind the Sanctuary Discord server, which is going to run periodic online PDH events. So if you're really bummed you missed this tournament because like getting yourself to Detroit is a problem, first of all, talk to us next time. We
Right. Talk
there
to
was
us and or Scoop.
there was at least one GoFundMe that just put a person in Detroit with us this weekend. We can
from Miami.
we can do it again.
Yeah.
So step 1, if you're bummed you didn't get to RIW, talk to us. We'll get you to RIW next year, and this is absolutely for sure happening next year. Thing 2, if you're bummed you didn't get to play in this tournament, you need to get yourself to the Sanctuary PDH channel, where Bobby is going to start running, we think probably quarterly online tournaments with like entry
that's what it
fees
sounded like.
and
Mhm.
like serious prize support as well. Next one's probably in August. I got to hang out with Bobby, got to meet him in person for the first time and chat with him a bit.
Yep.
And we'll bring him back in about a week to chat with us.
Wink, wink.
Previews.
Yeah.
Speaking of big time content creators, Sniff How is a man that I have had the incredible pleasure of meeting on many occasions because I occasionally
Mhm.
just fly to his house uninvited. Like, hey, I'm here. Like, where's my bed?
Hey,
And
what's
he's
up?
like, I'm so glad you just walked into my house. And he means it. Like, the man is a legend.
Yeah, total
He
legend.
he showed up. He uniquely amongst the pals was able to get out here. Lots of the other pals wanted to be here. They couldn't make it because They are saving their money for a trip to Vegas for some kind of Magic Fest something.
Sure.
So if you're bummed you didn't get to meet any pals, head to Vegas. If
Can
you're
almost guarantee at least one of them will be there next year.
at RIW or at Vegas?
Yes, RIW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sniff is absolutely bringing all of them to RIW next year. It's happening. We are
Awesome.
getting pals all up in the house. So if you've never met Sniff, now's your chance. He is a tremendous human, one of the best. We had Gatorbait TV and Puzzle Box
Yep.
hanging out with us.
Common Theory in the house.
Yeah, the Common Theory, our sister podcast. Puzzle Box was repping Gretchen, which has taken down a couple tournaments in the past. Gatorbait is Gatorbait's the guy who just took the first ever Sanctuary event. He just steamrolled the whole thing with Abdel.
Yeah,
4-0'd
100%.
it like savagely. So he showed up this weekend with Gut, I think.
Yep, Gut leader. Yep.
Yeah, Puzzle's been on the show before. Huge personality. Great to meet him in person.
Yeah, that really was cool. Yep.
We had Chris. What? Go ahead.
Them, just like the connoisseurs, the guys from Common Theory, Gator and Puzzle. Like, I watch most of their videos. Like Common Theory, they put out their podcast episodes on YouTube, so it's like video podcasts. So I've seen them all in person. Watch their videos, this and that. But even then, they all looked a little bit different in real life than what they did on their videos.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I discovered that Ryan, Pauper of the Common Connoisseurs, is 6'3".
Yeah, he's tall.
He's a tall guy. He's a big guy. And one of the first things he said to me was like, "You're much bigger than I thought you were." And I was like, "All right, like that's fair."
Thanks.
Yeah, I think. Who else was there? We had Chris. Chris showed up from not from Boston. If you've ever heard him speak, you'd think that man lives in the very heart of Southie. Not true. That man is from Rhode Island.
Not surprisingly.
He showed up. He showed up to Detroit from Rhode Island. We had Dallas from Pittsburgh. The rags to riches guy. What's his deal?
Is he from Philly, Liam?
Dallas Walker is from Philly. Yes.
Philly.
That's where the shop is. Yep.
I always confuse Philly and Pittsburgh.
Dallas,
it's one of those Pennsylvania towns.
Yeah, Dallas is from Philly. They run the Rags to Riches event, the third installment of which is also in August.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, August is going to be a big month for us.
Yes, it is.
A couple other folks I want to shout out.
Do you know what also comes out in August?
Tell me what comes out in August.
Commander Masters comes out in August.
Oh, I was really interested in that.
Does.
I saw the price point, and then I was like, "This I think is not for me." Like,
it'll have some singles I want.
I think it's not for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that whoever buys it buys a lot of it and is like, "What am I going to do with all these commons?" and just puts them out somewhere where I can steal them.
But yeah, just right on the table.
I don't think I'm going to buy it. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I'm not buying any sealed.
This is so the Rags to Riches is going to have to change its name if this is the price point of Magic the Gathering cards. We're gonna have to call it Riches to Other Riches.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that because the first two were called Riches to Rags, but everyone kept calling it Rags to Riches after like the Card Kingdom tournament they host out there, or I think even RIW's own Rags to Riches 60 card Pauper events. Just because that's what Pauper events are called. So for Pauper Commander, we were just like, oh yeah, Riches to Rags, ha ha ha. But everyone kept calling it Rags to Riches.
Yeah.
So the third one was called Rags to Riches.
Dallas was putting up flyers sort of towards the end of the event on Saturday, and I saw him. I'm like, that's not right? I think I even pulled Liam aside. I'm like, is it supposed to be named that, or am I like being gaslit? Is this like the Mandela effect? What's happening? I was on like 4 hours of sleep, so
yeah. No, I had to double check. I checked the old channels that the image was in, and I was like, nope, it's Riches to Rags. Yeah, no. Yeah. Awesome. I also briefly thought I was being gaslit. But yeah, I think I'm looking at it now. The release date. This is interesting. The release date for Commander Masters is August 4th. So these cards will definitely, like downshifts, will definitely be legal for Dallas's event at the end of August. depending when Bobby's event is, because I know Bobby's aiming for like the first or second weekend of August.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if his event's the first weekend of August. There's no way they could have Commander Masters be allowed.
Yeah.
But if it's the second weekend, I could potentially see it. But I also don't know, like, because technically, if the release date is August 4th, August 5th, it's legal.
Yeah,
Like,
it's there.
You
Yeah.
can't really exclude these cards from a sanctioned event, so
I wonder
I don't
if
know.
it'll be proxy friendly in that case.
That's a good question. Oh my
That is a good
goodness.
question.
Like if I mean, if these things get spoiled a week ahead of time and people can like play with
Yeah,
them theoretically, and then like card availability notwithstanding, it seems like the kind of thing that I would be happy making proxy friendly,
for sure, for sure.
and
I'm
then
looking at
you can just toss
absolutely.
I'm looking at booster art now. The draft booster has Avacyn on it. The display box for draft boosters has the Dragon on it. The set boosters and the set booster displays both have Gissa on it from Gissa and Geralf. But
Yep.
the collector boosters have Zakama on them.
Oh,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
Hydra dinosaur,
That's the Hydra
the
dinosaur.
primal calamity. I love
Calamity.
that. It's my second favorite dinosaur.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for that.
Cool. That'll be fun for you to look at in the store and not be able to afford.
It will. I'm not buying what I'm sure will be a $50 booster pack, but
Yeah, right.
it will be
Right.
certainly cool to look at.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good. August is
All
going to be fun. If the Sanctuary event is the second weekend, I got to talk to Bobby about this because he's asked me if I would be willing to commentate that tournament again, and I definitely want to because commentating the first one was extremely fun.
Yeah.
If it's the second weekend in August, I will be unable to commentate because I will be doing a 24-hour stream in the PDH Pals studio. This is one of those times where I'm just going to wander into Sniffhow's house and be like, "Hi, it's me. I'm here." And he'll be like, "Where have you been? I've been waiting." And I'll be like,
"I've had the bed made. What's going on?"
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, that the 12, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there, we're doing a 24-hour PDH stream with the pals. So no Sanctuary tournaments.
So I know we keep going down this rabbit hole, but I'm looking for the dates to put in our Discord for the Commander Masters. In the Commander Masters draft, all monocolored legendary creatures have the partner ability. Only in the draft. So this is an all reprint set, but for draft, every monocolored legendary creature will be errataed to have partner. That's how they're solving that.
That's fine. That's actually a good way for them to fix the draft environment without continuing to ruin the partner mechanic. Because every time they print a card that has Pauper on it, the partner mechanic becomes that much more cracked.
Yes,
that's true.
Certainly,
because if they print one more thing with Pauper, and now that's 50 new combinations.
Yeah, something like
that they have to balance against. So them putting them printing the word partner onto cards is at this point categorically, but saying you can play them as if they had partner in a draft format fixes the draft problem without cracking the partner problem. That actually seems incredibly smart. I'm on board with this. That seems wise.
All right, I'm done interrupting.
Okay. I'm gonna wrap up the people shoutouts real quick here. We did Chris from One More Game. We did Dallas from Rags to Riches. A couple of people I wanted to shout out just because I had a really crazy pleasant experience with them.
Super awesome.
We met Gabe and Metal Rain. Metal Rain, you'll have to forgive me. I forgot what your real name is. But these were people that just came up to us and hey, I'm a big fan of your podcast. And that felt really good. This is not a thing that I ever expected
very crazy
to experience in my life. But having someone come up and be like, I'm a fan of your work, like that, I'm riding this high still. This interaction is burned into my cerebral cortex. I'm never letting that one go. That it was great to meet you, Gabe and Metal Rain, and Dallas and Chris and Gator and Puzzle and Sniff and Bobby and Clay and Ryan and Scarecrow and Ruffigan and Derek and Scooby. It was
freaking Drew.
Delightful every you and Liam and Brad. It was really good to see you in person. That felt
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
It's
only been
it was for sure
over a
great.
year.
Yeah. Felt really good to get faces. Well, not even faces. Like I'd already known your faces because of the streaming.
Sure.
It's good to be able to give you hugs, I guess.
Yes, that was it. To look over and like see you sitting at the table playing cards next to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not on stream, not your hands, not your wrist, not your bracelets, like right there at the table. Like, oh, there's Noise Marine, can't do the math, but there he is. Woo-hoo, you know,
Yeah.
It was great.
You're a whole person. You're
right?
more than just a voice and some magic cards. It feels good.
Yeah.
Last big shout out I need to do, massive, incomprehensibly large, huge shout out to Pam, Brian DeMars, Ryan, John, Ben the Judge, Brenda and Justin, the stream team, everyone else at RIW Hobbies. You put on an unbelievable event, and you fed us tacos all day long, and we are...
Yeah, all day long. Every time I went in there, I was like, there's not going to be any food left. And there was food. I was like, oh my God.
There was an egregious amount of tacos, and I did some damage to that. And I just want to say we are beyond words grateful for you opening up your store to our format, to this event, just to give us a space to do this thing, to support it with the prize. Your prize
that was
extremely
huge.
generous, and this was a terrific event. I'm overjoyed to hear from you that you think that it was a big success and that you want to do it again, because I want to do it again, and I'm looking forward to next year's RIW PDH Con.
You know, it was cool because like you said, the rest of the staff at RIW Hobbies was amazing, but like, have you ever seen like one of those 80s movies that takes place on the Wall Street floor, you know, and they're like, tickers are going off and people are like, buy, sell. That's what it was. That's what it felt like 10 minutes before the event happened at their long front counter. There was just like Magic players lined up like, I need this, buy, you guys take store credit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Everyone's like,
and they were just like, yeah, it's cool. Come on in.
Like, I just submitted this deck list for the tournament, but I don't have these two cards. It's up to you to give them to me. You have 10 seconds.
Like, here's this binder. Here's this box. Look, tell me what you want. I'll keep them up at the front. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, the whole staff was terrific. Just everyone.
Yeah.
I got to hang out with Ben a little bit, the judge for the event. That was fun. I learned a lot about competitive rules enforcement. Every time I was watching a game and I was like, should I say something? They're about to break the rules. I feel like I should say something. And I'd say something and he'd come over and be like, thanks, but like, don't do that. Like, you gotta call me next time, bud. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. Yeah, all right.
Can you call a judge as a spectator? Can you?
Yes.
Huh.
It is encouraged. If you are watching any game that is competitive and you think something's going down incorrectly, whether it's intentional or unintentional, stop the game, call a judge. You can literally like just put your hand, not on the table, but like hover between the players. We like stop and then raise your other hand and call a judge.
Oh wow!
This is
what
I learned.
It's not frequent.
Sure.
And
you got to be
the players,
pretty damn sure of what you're talking about to interrupt a high level game too, I guess.
Yes.
This is what I was told.
Oh
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, so there was one game where the Goblins player cast Mirkwood bats, and then he attacked with a bunch of goblins, and they died in combat. And he was like, "Well, they died in combat, so you all get pinged." And I was like, "Whoa, that's not correct." Mirkwood bat triggers when a token gets sacrificed, not when a token dies. And they're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Everyone at the table was like, "Oh, you're actually right. That's a really good catch. I hadn't read it carefully. Thank you." And then the judge came over and he's like, "Don't do that." I was like, "Oh no."
I get to say that.
Right. It's like, okay. We'll
I know
do.
you're the Alcadron.
He didn't know I was the Alcadron. He had no idea what an Alcadron was.
Are you the Alcadron
even
or
better.
are you the not Alcadron?
The mystery remains open-ended, I think.
We did not, dear listeners, we did not figure that out this weekend. That was our goal.
We interrogated everyone who
Yeah.
walked through that door. Tell us everything you know about not Alcadron. Like, we got nowhere. Either one of them was either a very convincing liar, or the not Alcadron was not among them.
Correct.
All I can say. So
we all have our theories.
So we are definitely not giving a shout out to not Alcadron, whose identity remains a mystery.
Not at all.
But because of the absence of that shout out, my shout out roster is now finished.
I think it's perfect. I think you nailed everybody there.
If
So,
I miss
awesome.
someone, you have my sincere apologies.
Nope, I think that was perfect.
Thank you. What's next? What are we going to debrief about this event?
I think we're going to save like the main event for last.
Okay.
So sort of like sandwiched in between, we're going to talk about the experience, just sort of overall experience that we had. I can start it off here if you'd rather. I know you just did the whole shout out list.
Yeah, I want someone else to talk.
Sure. It sort of all started, we all sort of came together and said, yes, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to go to this event and it's going to be awesome. And Clay from Common Connoisseurs just took it upon himself to get this gigantic Airbnb. It was like 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms. There was a massive finished basement with 2 bathrooms down there for some reason. Huge space for playing. That was awesome. And nobody expected it because we, in our chat, in our group chat of the people that were going, we were trying to figure out, who's staying in hotels, what are we doing, who's going to bunk up when you coming in, this and that. And Clay's like, boom, I got you. Just come to me and I will provide this gigantic house for everyone to play and sleep and do all that stuff in. So that was really awesome. And it was the place to be. Like, that's where everybody met up. Most of the people, I think pretty much other than Chris from One More Games, we all got there Friday. So we all were able to meet each other first, hang out. We all went out to dinner afterwards. Ryan was a little late to dinner. I think he had some some Uber troubles. And that's not to say big troubles. I think he had troubles getting an Uber to the restaurant or to the Airbnb itself.
I think he had trouble getting an Uber at the airport.
Yeah, they kept canceling on him or something. And then finally, Clay and somebody went to pick him up. Probably Scooby.
Probably Scooby.
Seems like something Scooby would do. But yeah, it was great. We finally got to hug everybody in person, and we hung out. We went to dinner and we chatted. I realized that I came fully unprepared for this experience. Like, I brought some cards to put in Dave's community deck, and I had some cards I did for Scooby, and then I thought that would kind of be it. But like, as soon as I got to the house, everybody was handing me cards. Like, here, the pals signed you a stack of cards, and Scarecrow's like, here's some cards for you. I was like, holy crap. So I'm gonna have to make up for that next year. So that was awesome. We got playmat. Like, I walked in, gave Scooby a hug, and he's like, here's a playmat and a card. Oh, and here's another playmat because I had extra. So just I ended up needing a whole other bag almost of stuff that I just got from people. That was amazing.
It's a good problem.
And then it was a very good problem to have. And outside of that, other than the event itself, we just hung out at the house, had some libations, some adult beverages, and played a whole bunch of PDH. The first game I played, once I got settled in, like, it was funny. I got to the house, I had it all mapped up, but it was kind of like rainy and overcast, and when the wipers are going, you can't see super great out of the windshield. And I don't completely trust Apple Maps, but I had the exact address of the Airbnb put in, and I was kind of creeping down the road, and the pin sort of put me in between 2 houses. I'm like, I think that's it. There's a couple cars here. They look sort of out of place. So I just grabbed my stuff and just walked in the front door. I didn't knock or anything. I'm like, this has got to be the place. I just walked in. So I was glad that it was actually the B&B and not some random neighborhood house. So that was nice. But yeah, put all my stuff down, and the first thing I did was sit at the table with Alk and Scoob and Liam, and Dave was on his Noise Marine deck. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Dave?
That was a really fun game. I didn't go in expecting to accomplish much of anything because Noise Marine is the Cascade Storm Burn deck. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of its goal is to just accumulate our resources, burn through all of them in one catastrophic turn, which is really impressive but doesn't kill anyone, and then die. That's the Noise Marine goal. And the plan was going smoothly, and death was within my grasp. And then Scooby rolled up with a damage prevention deck, which enraged
the table.
No, I thought it was kind of funny, but it absolutely enraged Eric, who cannot suffer life gain, cannot suffer damage prevention. Eric is only happy when life totals are ticking down at an alarming rate, and to go against that is to defy the pals' way. So Eric took it upon himself to just yeet all of his resources, which included
constantly.
Like he was on Nadir, I think, so he sacrificed his entire board to get a huge Nadir, and then sacrificed that to get a huge board back, and then gave everything haste, and then discarded his entire hand to a Rites of Initiation to attack Scooby for like 50 or something. Just some number that was just catastrophically more than he could reasonably prevent. And so Scooby died, and that was literally Eric's entire set of resources. So then it became my turn. Eric was at 12, and Brad was at like 17 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just going off. My Noise Marine had a second opportunity to do a big catastrophic blowout turn, and I took it by like, I think I generated something like 17 mana with a Mana Geyser that everyone knew was coming.
Yeah, it was gigantic.
I'd hit the Mana Geyser last turn off of Galvanic Relay, so everyone saw that their future included a Mana Geyser and an Ashnod's Altar and a Grape Shot, and they were like, that seems fine. And they killed Scooby instead. And so I went off with this Mana Geyser. The Mana Geyser turned into me casting Grinning Ignis and bouncing it to my hand something like 11 times just to rack up a storm count. And then I hit the Noise Marine, which dealt exactly 12 damage to Eric's face. And it cascaded into, which was crucial because he was at exactly 12 life. And it cascaded into a collateral, which put both my storm count at exactly enough that if I pointed the collateral damage at Brad's face, I could then kill him exactly with the Grape Shot. And it was just this berserk, like, mathematical anomaly that turned into a weird mess of the stack doing stupid nonsense, and then Noise Marine won a game, which was unusual but pretty awesome.
Yeah, and you're right, it was total, like, perfection too, because it wasn't like, oh, I hit Scooby for infinite or what, it was like you hit the exact number you needed to hit at about the time you ran out of mana and spells.
I was
to kill two people at the same time.
I could not, if either of you had exactly one more life, I would have not been able to accomplish that. You had to have exactly the right number of life points and tap lands for me to be able to execute that.
Yep. Yeah, it was wild. It was good times.
Yes. It was a very fun game for me. So that was how I celebrated my first ever time meeting Brad. Was just killing him with exact damage with Noise Marine off a Grape Shot.
Yeah, it was funny. Sniff was like, "All right, Scoob, I guess you're gonna tap your creatures again. Here we go."
Yeah, he was on. There's some white creature called Reveille Squad, which is every time you get attacked, untap all of your creatures, and so his whole board is just these, damage prevention cleric. Tap to prevent 2 damage to something. So every time he gets attacked, like he taps all of his damage prevention kids in response to this untap trigger, and then they all untap, and he can tap them again.
Yes,
and it's just
obnoxious. It was cool, but it was obnoxious.
It was pretty awesome, honestly. I loved seeing it.
Yeah,
like I think the rage that it instilled in Eric was probably disproportionate, especially like It warms the very cockle of my chaotic berserk tier aggro heart that Eric is looking at a couple of white damage prevention clerics over there and
just seeing red, and, like just angry.
Right. Like he sees damage prevention clerics over here, and he sees Mana Geyser Ashnod's Altar Grape Shot over here, and he's like, I know what I need to do.
I'm taking out the mono white guy.
God bless Eric. Love that, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I actually had it wrong. I said Liam, but it was Sniff. I totally forgot. Like that whole first few hours of being there. Just
Liam was over at the other table. Liam was at the other table with Ruffigan Gator Puzzle getting his butt handed to him.
Yeah, you guys looked like you had a pretty intense game going on. Because even when I came in and like I met Clay upstairs, and then he like showed me downstairs, and he sort of like yelled to the room like, "Hey, Brad's here," whatever. Like your table barely looked up, so I was like, "They're playing serious." Like they got something going on over there.
We all 4 of us were playing the decks that we were going to take to the tournament Saturday, so we were all like,
"Okay, that makes sense."
Ruffigan and I were goldfishing our decks. Like, do we actually want to play this? Are we making a mistake? And then Gator and Puzzle are like, yeah, we're over here playing the decks that we like pioneered and just wiping the floor.
Reddit,
Yeah,
what did Ruffigan end up playing in the tournament?
he was on, I want to call it Spite Mare, but I know it's not called Spite Mare.
That's right.
Is it
No,
Spite
it
Mare?
is.
It's the Lorwyn
Spite
red
Mare, yeah.
white elemental that looks like a horse, but it's not a horse, and it reads like
Yeah.
True Fire Mentor. Whenever
Yeah,
it's dealt
4 mana,
damage, it gets
3/3.
to redirect the damage.
When it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target creature or player. So yeah, he's playing like a Boros sort of like combo deck.
Yeah.
Guilty Conscience, I believe, is like the linchpin of the combo. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, you need Guilty Conscience, and then you have to make it indestructible.
That's it. Indestructible. There we go.
So if it just is Guilty Conscience, then it will,
You'd have to do all that damage at once.
it deals its damage, and then Conscience makes it deal that damage itself, and then it takes the damage, so it deals that much damage again, but it's also dead.
Right.
So that
exactly.
it doesn't loop. But if you make it indestructible, so that it can deal damage to itself without dying, then that's an infinite. It turns into an infinite loop until everyone is dead.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's how he definitely pulled off, I think, a round 1 or 2 win with the combo. So that was good to hear.
Round 1, he was inches away from beating Paul, actually.
Okay.
Paul was on the. You're going to hear a lot about Paul in this episode.
Yeah.
Paul is Scarecrow, and he had a very interesting performance. And in game, his first game was there was a Sprite Dragon. Gatorbait was there on Gut, and there was a Sprite Dragon player who sat down at the table and was like, "Gut, that's going to be a problem," and just yeeted all of his resources into murdering the Gut player savagely and relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And the Gut player was like, I can't stop this. My only out here is to try and race you so that I can kill you before you kill me and then survive. So like by the time Gut went down, Sprite Dragon had been on the receiving end of all of Gut's beats and was at like 2 life. And they just knocked him out. Heads up, Ruffigan on Spite Mare versus Scarecrow on Vizkopa Guildmage. And that was it was close. It was It was a showdown.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, I think Spite Mare picked up another win. I kind of stopped tracking him after that.
Yeah, after our second game that night, Derek sat in and was playing the Xenostrobe Knight. Is that how you say it?
Xerox, I think.
Xerox. And then Liam came in with Aethersworn Sphinx, or was that later in the night?
I don't remember.
Was that game 2? I think that was game 2. But anyway, and then I moved over, took a break. I think we went to dinner or whatever, came back, and then I sat down at I guess it just ended up being the competitive table that night. And I sat down at the competitive table with Minthara because I was going up against like Gator, Puzzle Box, Be Fine, and then in game 2, Clay sat in for Be Fine, and there's all these high power decks, combo decks, this sort of thing. And Minthara lost game 1 on turn 6 and game 2 on turn 7. So I was pretty happy I did not play the event with that deck because it did nothing against the combo decks. I had a standard bear out in one of the games, and in the other game, I don't think I managed to really do anything before Abdel just did Abdel stuff.
That is what Abdel.
How'd your game? Yeah, Abdel do that for sure. Did you play some good games, Liam?
Played some solid games. My favorite game of the night was the last game of Friday night / Saturday morning, however you really want to be looking at that. My Ornithopter deck got to play in its second ever game. And I say second ever game, the second ever time I've broken it out. The first time, its debut being Brad's stream a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it won. It took down Scooby's Reveille squad, the untapper damage preventer. Derek or Ruffigan was playing Finn. I can't remember which one of them was in the game. I want to say it was Derek. But they were playing Finn the Fangbearer. And Ryan was playing a competitively minded Golem deck. Mm-hmm. But Ryan was not in a competitive state of mind. You can hear more about that in the pre-show. But yeah,
Yeah.
Overall, it was a solid game. I want to say Finn took out Gollum, Reveille Squad took out Finn, and then I took out Reveille Squad. But the point still stands that a colorless deck took down a pod with commander damage.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was just about the time I was losing to Clay's loyal subordinate deck. You like hailed me from your table, and you're like, "I did it! Ornithopter won!"
Yeah,
Like that's awesome.
yeah, it was a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game. I'm now going to retire that deck.
I think you have to. I mean, it's 2-0. Oh no,
It's 1-1.
1-1. But it won over this past weekend, so that counts for something.
It's 1-0 for this weekend. That is for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So we got to play a little bit of competitive games, a bunch of jank games. My Thunderous Snapper deck actually won on the back of Sword Coast Serpent, which most of my blue decks win on the back of Sword Coast Serpent, so that's not a huge surprise. Gigantic, unblockable creature typically closes out the game for anybody. So yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Is there anything else you wanted to sort of highlight from the non-tournament games, Dave?
I just loved being with the people. Like the games themselves were
Right.
like I was a little like overwhelmed by like trying to focus on like gameplay decisions while exhausted
for sure.
and surrounded by all this like excitement. Like I got myself like emotionally a little fried at the time, thinking was not going very well. But it was just like being with people and like seeing everyone's excitement about trading cards and signing each other's playmats and just like being like aggressively positive at one another and enthusiastic about meeting. Like that's what I was really there for, and that's what's going to bring me back every single time RIW does this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just this gigantic happy nerd party, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Like I don't remember half of the games I played. I remember the Noisemarie game because that was nutty. But like the rest,
that was very specific. Yeah, that was poignant.
I couldn't tell you what I played after that or how it went.
Yeah.
I just loved seeing everyone. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah. Same here. But did you know there was some actual games that happened over the weekend? Some like full-fledged meta-dependent or meta-shaping games.
There was an event actually, yeah. There was
we didn't just go up there for the jank.
There was a reason we all converged at this place at this time.
Yep.
Turns out.
Who's going to tell us about it? Is it Liam's turn to tell us about things?
Ooh, I think it might be.
I'll tell you about the event.
Do it.
So RIW is a game store. It is RIW Hobbies. It is in a plaza alongside an abandoned Chinese place called Flaming Buffet, which, as we all know, is the home of the Flaming Juices. I didn't know that. I'm reading from the script here. What is the Flaming Juices?
The Flaming Juicers is Eric's nickname for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The event itself took place in the Flaming Buffet, but at the tables.
Thank you for not questioning that even a little bit. I appreciate you.
Even a little bit. Just
this is
like a professional.
This is what
just
makes
kept
you a
going.
professional podcaster and a professional human. Just like, okay, moving along.
Yeah.
Yep.
The space was actually really nice. It was an abandoned buffet. Not abandoned, but not
Just
currently
out of business,
in use buffet. Was really nice. The chairs and the tables were buffet tables. They were plenty large for 4 play mats. But yeah, they
had tablecloths and everything.
Yeah, they had tablecloths and everything. And they used the old buffet to actually serve the tacos. So it was really nice. 43 people showed up for the event, and BDM hopped in to make it a nice even 44 for 11 pods. And I know Alk and Dave have said that they were commentating, and more on that later, but I was actually playing in the event. I went 1-4 with Abzan Falconer. I will say that I am proud of that win record, even because I have not once claimed to be a great competitive player. But the fact that I have one win,
you won round 1, correct?
I won round 1.
The very first pod.
Everybody
in our Discord was like ecstatic for you. Like,
yes,
that's so awesome.
Yes, I won round 1, and then I proceeded to not win again. But round 1, I was facing a Noggle Ransacker, which Eric was playing, the Weavers from Chris at One More Game, and a newer player from the area who was a local who was playing Finn the Fangbearer. And yeah, I think the only reason I got to claim that victory was because Eric had used up all of his resources to deal with the Weavers, that I was able to swing out at him and the Finn player for lethal, uncontested. Yeah. Like there was nothing. They neither of them had removal for anything. So yeah, that was a great start to the event, and unfortunately where my win streak ended. But other than that,
happens to the best of us.
Pod 2, I was playing against Dallas from Philly, Dallas from Common Theory, and Bobby. So 3 combo decks and an aggro deck. Guess who lost that game? Abzan Falconer never stuck.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, Abzan Falconer never stuck. I think it spent more time in my hand or the command zone than it did on the field. Which, when all 3 of your opponents are on blue, is expected. Round 3 was... I faced the Rocco Slivers player. I faced Gator's Gut Leader deck, and another local who was on Emoti Big Stuff. And
nice.
I sat down at the table with pretty much the attitude that, like, Gut Leader's got to go, Gut Leader's got to go. This is being my experience from Philly of being knocked from 30 to 2 life on turn 4. Gut Leader's got to go. So I'm throwing all of my resources at Gut Leader. The Slivers player,
naturally,
for whatever reason, thinks Emoti is the bigger threat. And I could see it because the Emoti player did reveal to us off of a search, for some reason, Ulamog's Crusher. But Ulamog's Crusher was in his hand, and he wasn't able to get it back in the deck. And he ramped hard, but he was like 2 lands off of the Crusher. And I was like, there's no we've got at least 2 turn cycles minimum. Like they have to play the lands and then they get to play the Crusher. So I was like, I'm not even remotely worried about the Crusher. Also because the Emoti player knows the power of Gut Leader, so I know the moment the Crusher even resolves, like it's not going at me. But so the Slivers player was afraid of the Crusher, which I didn't quite understand because they also knew what Gut Leader was capable of. But questionable decisions were made. Emoti was knocked out by Slivers, leaving them tapped out to Gut Leader, and Falconer in a 1v1 against Gut Leader can't do anything. So we lost that game to Gut Leader. Yeah, that was a pretty solid game overall. 4 aggro decks. Life totals went down fast. I think it was about 25 minutes.
Ooh, nice.
And then game 4, I got to sit beside BDM on Good Fortune Unicorn, facing down both Sprite Dragon decks. They'd apparently made some kind of deal that they were going to knock BDM and me out first and then 1v1 it. My personal...
I heard that both of them completely misunderstood the tournament and thought it was a 1v1 tournament. And that's why they brought
Sprite
Dragon.
Showed up to the event.
And then they showed up and they were like, "All right, make pods of 4." And both of them were like, "Oh no." So them wanting to 1v1 each other actually makes perfect sense. I support this decision.
Sure, it makes sense now. I did not know that.
So I could see that. However, my opinion is that Sprite Dragon falls into a unique group of commanders, similar to that of Abdel or even Gut Leader, where when there's multiple at a table, they kind of want to knock each other out first because they can't win the game as long as there's another one in the pod.
Correct.
So I don't feel like knocking BDM and I out, who were both, like, we admitted, we sat down to the pod because they were like, "What are you guys playing? Like, what is this nonsense?" Like, both of them said, "What is this nonsense?" And BDM and I were like, "Yeah, no, we're just here to have fun. We're playing some casual stuff." Like, both of us had said, "Yeah, we don't really start doing things till turn 4 or 5. The Sprite Dragon player was like, "Oh, that's great. We're going to kill you before that." It's like, okay. But, like, even BDM and I were both like, okay, but you guys should focus on each other because once you knock us both out, whoever isn't tapped wins. So, questionable decisions were made definitely around 4, but that's not
Oh, sure.
my place to say because
Well, and that's to be expected too, because that's at round 4. You're probably 8 hours into the day already.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then round 5 is the one that I can't even remember. Who did I play in round 5? That game was over so quickly.
I think I was commentating for round 5.
Yes.
No, that was Dave and Derek on round 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I was doing.
I'm trying to think. Who have I not?
I remember seeing you at a table because I was going to come over and watch your game.
Yeah, who have I not?
But then now I
talked
can't
about
remember what I did.
I remembered every opponent up until round. See, this is the problem. I was 8 hours in. My memory was
Yeah,
not it.
100%.
I'm trying to think of all the people that were there. Let me scroll back up to the people list. Bobby Sniff, Gator Puzzle, I've already played against them. Chris, Dallas, I've already played against them. Clay and Ryan, I was not in any of their pods. Oh, I got to sit down with Ruffigan, and there was another gut leader at the table and munitions expert.
Munitions expert, that's
and
what
so
it was. Yep.
munitions expert and the gut leader player were friends and may or may not have had a little collusion going on. But at that point, I didn't really care because I wasn't making top 16.
Right.
But it was fine because I think all of the threat assessment in the game was pretty good. The threat assessment was pretty accurate the entire game. Everyone was happy with what decisions were made. Nobody was really upset up until the exact last thing the munitions player did that cost both him and myself the game.
Right.
But other than that, I think that game was that was probably one of my favorite games of the whole day. I'd say it was probably the second.
Nice.
My favorite would have been round 1.
Yeah, sounds like a good one.
Yeah. Overall, it was pretty good. Yeah, so that was me playing in the event. Brad and Dave, you were commentating. What was that?
Yeah, we actually got we coerced Derek into being part of the commentating crew, and basically that was just RIW deciding, hey, we want to stream this entire event all day. When it first got decided, it was going to be Brian DeMars was going to be a commentator. I volunteered, then Dave volunteered, and then Derek volunteered. And it was going to kind of be like groups of 2 rotating each round. Like you said earlier, they ended up with 43 people. So BDM just happened to have a deck on him at the time. He's like, I'll play. That's fine. I'll round out the event, make it all even and everything. So it ended up being me, Dave, and Derek from round 2 going forward. And why round 2 going forward? Because the round 1 was sort of, as Dave put in the show notes, we threw Brad under the bus. I happily got under the bus, though. It was interesting. They have this room at RIW. It's like their recording room, featured room, streaming room, whatever you want to call it. But it's very professionally set up. Nice table, excellent overhead camera. They got nice lighting. The walls are covered in acoustic paneling. And they have this whole streaming setup at one end of the room. And this room's probably 12 by 6. Like, it's not a very big room at all. So the area where I was streaming round 1 from was about 16 inches from the table. So I found it hard to really say anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I had to kind of keep my voice down the whole time, even when I was like really trying to whisper about the game and about what people are doing. Bobby would be like, no, that was frantic search, not, I'm like, damn it, sorry. Like, they could hear everything I was saying at all times. And I couldn't say anything once I figured that out because, like, anything I could say would have given away information in the game.
Right.
So it just got to be a little awkward, to where I was just like, Tom, there's a mountain. Be fine, taps an island. Like... like doing very, very basic play-by-play stuff, but it was super fun. They were all great players. Be Fine was on Floodgate, which I had never, I guess I had heard rumors about a mythical Floodgate control deck, but there it was in the flesh. Mm-hmm. There were 2 other Bs at the table. I want to say Billy. I don't know. I'm going to mess it up if I try to guess. So there was 2 other players there whose names started with B, and they were both on... one was on Gut Leader and one was on Lotleth Troll, which I was very happy to see. A nice Golgari grindy deck. And then we had Tom, I believe, was on the other Gut Leader. So we had 2 Guts, Floodgate, and a Lotleth Troll. It was awesome. it ended up being, despite having two gut leaders at the deck, it ended up being a very, very grindy match. Pretty much, Floodgate ended up winning round 1, but it controlled that game literally from like round 4 on, because it was just Bobby had those cards in his hand all the time, the flickers and the bounce spells and recasting Floodgate and this and that. So it was just like, okay, cool. There's 5 skeletons. Now they're all dead. Like, now I'll take my turn. La-di-da-di-da. And like, because he was so easily able to wipe out the board, the Golgari player just could not get established, which was kind of sad for me to see. But, those things happen. But after that, they recognized that it was not the easiest streaming setup. So they really hooked us up. They went ahead and set us up just outside the room at the tables with a microphone and a laptop and everything, so we could watch the live feed and commentate on it and still view like the Twitch chat and stuff. And that way we could pretty much say whatever we wanted to. They couldn't hear us from inside the room, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
And
I want to pause
go ahead.
right here to just give another huge, tremendous shout out to Brenna and Justin, who were our technicians responsible for the entire stream all day long.
Yeah, the Dream Stream team. Yep.
I guess there was some internal communication things, and they discovered, for a tournament that started at like noon, they discovered at about 11:40 that they needed to set up a way for people to commentate this.
Yeah.
And they, I feel like if someone did that to me, I'd have been like, no.
No, next time. We'll do it
sucks,
next
bud.
time.
Like, maybe,
yeah. Sorry for you.
I can do that if you give me more than 20 minutes warning. Like, the answer is no.
Right.
Like, thanks for coming, but I'll see you later. Like,
but it was awesome.
These guys were like, yeah, I can do that. And they went at it and they brought it together. These are tremendous, incredible, hardworking people. Hugely grateful for them, Brenda and Justin.
Yeah, it was impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, that first round with Brad in the room commentating, providing very limited commentary, was an artifact of them like working to get it set up. And I also want to add here, all this commentary still available on Twitch. If you head over to their,
go check it out.
I forgot whether someone look up their Twitch for me.
It's just RIW Hobbies.
Oh, great. Yeah. If you go to twitch.tv/RIW Hobbies, you can, the VOD is going to be up for another, I think, week and a half-ish, probably. You can go, you can watch, you can skip through it. It's like a 10 solid hour video. You can see all of these rounds as they happened. A couple rounds finished early, and we were able to go in and interview the winner of the round, ask them, go into real depth their deck and their deck tech and all that. Super cool stuff. So generally speaking, huge success, and all of that's because Brenna and Justin did remarkable work with us, for us. They bent backwards to make sure that we could do a really great job, and I think that we did them proud by doing a pretty good job commentating. It was it
was phenomenal.
Yeah. So yeah, by round 2 they had set up this system with they were piping the video from the room onto a little laptop outside the room with a real nice mic set up, so we could see what was going on. We couldn't hear any of their table talk. We had no audio for this, but we could see exactly what was going on, and we could give a much more colorful commentary after that. We could say like this, this person is making this decision. Here's why I think that's a good decision, or here's why I think that's a bad decision, or here's how I think the table needs to react to this if they want to survive, if they want to live another turn and try to move forward and deal with this, or here's what I think they should have done instead, which is really interesting commentary to listen to and be a part of. And it is the stuff that Brad was just categorically forbidden from saying. So
yeah, 100%, like not even close.
This is why we call it throwing him under the bus. We No one really gave commentary that first round, but we had to put one person in that room to provide some audio, and Brad jumped on that, for which we are very grateful.
Yeah, no problem. It was a good time. Regardless, it was a good time. All the players were joking and laughing, and just they were having fun with it. They understood my predicament, so they were very accommodating.
Yeah. So the other thing that changed for rounds 2 through 5 is that we had this laptop, we had a microphone, we could comment on things very directly. The other big fixture is Scarecrow entered that room. The featured table was table 1, is the top table. Scarecrow entered that room and never left.
Never left for the rest of the day.
He was there in round 2.
I think it's now. I think it's called the Scarecrow
Yeah,
Room. I mean,
it's
I'd have to check with BDM.
It's
but
the Paul Scarecrow Memorial Recording Room. It's in honor
Room 1779.
in honor of the savage beatings he dished out all day long. And like,
Oh my God!
here's what's I'm not gonna go into too much depth because we gotta wrap this up in a little while. But
Sure.
we essentially, if you want details on this, definitely go check out the VOD on Twitch because it is fascinating gameplay and really,
Yeah.
I think the commentary is pretty fun. What happened every single game was Scarecrow casts Vizcopa Guildmage and is sitting there with on the field in play. He has Vizcopa Guildmage, which has this ability for 3 mana. You can activate this ability, and for the rest of the turn, whenever you gain life, each opponent loses that much life. So this card is just sitting there on the field, right next to some stupid nonsense like a couple food tokens, or like a Soul Stare Expedition, or an Augur Ilvet. Some way that on his can sacrifice it to gain a bunch of life. And it's all just sitting on the table in plain view of everyone.
He's just waiting to untap.
And
that's it.
Anyone who chooses to look over at his board and read the cards can effortlessly see that they are dead as hell if he untaps. And they are so like they are dead in a way that is perfectly uninteractable. There are no cards in Pauper EDH that can stop this. As soon as he untaps, everyone is dead and there's nothing that they can do to stop it.
Yep, not a mirror shell crab among anyone.
And game after game, everyone just lets him have it. They're like, I passed the turn. You can untap. And he goes, okay, you die. And they go, wait. I'll bounce Vizcopa Guildmage.
Explain that? Wait.
And he goes, okay, it's in my hand. You still die. And they go, hold on. Is that how magic works?
In response, I activate the Guildmage.
And it's like, yes, that's how magic works. Like, what did you think was going to happen here? How did you not see this? So
yeah, I think the last round was round 4. That was the last one I commentated. And the turn that Scarecrow killed everyone took like 13 minutes to resolve because to explain the entire stack.
Yeah. And he was holding the stack in his hands.
Such a champion.
Like for the entire 13 minutes. And he was just like he was holding his hands above the playing field to represent here's what's on the stack still. And he just held it there for 13 minutes. And other people were like, well, I do this. And he'd be like, yeah, sure, that goes on the stack on top of this. It resolves. You can bounce my Guildmage. That's fine. This stuff is still on the stack. Like that hasn't changed. And they would be like, oh no, that stuff that's still on the stack is 20 damage to my face. And he's like, yeah.
Oh no.
Like what's your plan for that? And they're like, well, can we bounce something else? He's like, sure, whatever you want, man. Like,
yeah, have at it.
Put it in my hand.
It's your snap.
There's still 20 damage on the stack. Like it was just like the 20 damage on the stack was just it was on the board. It was on the board the whole time. Like
the whole time.
There's no surprises here. But he just kept on getting away with it. And
and this amazing. The round 4, he untapped with, obviously enough Guildmage mana to kill everyone in one go on his upkeep. But it was against 3 blue decks.
Yeah. And all of them were like, well, how do counter spells help us? They don't. And it's like, well, how do bounce spells help us? I'm like, they don't either. I'm like, well, how do flickers help us? I'm like, nope. Like
0.
The only card that stops this is Mirror Shell Crab, and none of you have that in your decks because we all have deck lists.
Not even in the deck list.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, they kept on letting. And in fairness, I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize, the first time you read Vizcopa Guildmage, you don't realize immediately that ability, that every time I gain life, you lose that much life, it's not immediately obvious that is an ability you can activate over and over again. So if you have 6 mana, you can activate it twice and it stacks. Or if you have 9 mana, you can activate that 3 times and it stacks. And now you're doing multiplicative math. No, I think he had 9. He activated it 3 times in that 4th game, at least.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, just game after game. Scarecrow was like, here is the threat. If I untap, you all die. And everyone's like, that's fine. Have an untap step.
Yeah,
and he was
cool
like,
with me.
Cool, you die. And they were like, wait, what?
Wait, you didn't tell us that.
Hold on. Yeah. In the very last game, the same thing happened, but it wasn't Scarecrow. It was a guy named Donovan from Malcolm Kedis. He had Tavern
Yep.
Brawler in play, and Tavern Brawler is the background that each of your commanders becomes a Phyrexian, where during your upkeep you exile top card of your deck and you can play it that turn. So he's got both of his commanders in play, and he's got Tavern Brawler on the field, and so he off the top of his deck he rips Battered Golem and Quicksilver Dagger, and so he's like, well, I can't. I'm going to play them both, and I can't activate them this turn because summoning sickness. But I'm gonna cast Battered Golem, and I'm gonna equip it with Quicksilver Dagger. And at that point, like, this is Malcolm Kedis. Everyone at the table should recognize that if this creature survives, everyone dies. Gonna make it.
The game's over.
The only piece of the combo he is missing right then is making it into a pirate. As soon as it becomes a pirate and it stops being summoning sickness, everyone dies. That's the infinite combo. And so basically the exact same thing happens. He puts his game-winning condition on the field and passes the turn and just tells the table, you have one turn to deal with this or you're all dead. And everyone was like, I'll pass the turn. Like, I'm not going to deal with that. Someone else will deal with that. And then it's his turn, and he's like, oh, cool.
Like, I'm going to wipe my hands of it next
my Battered Golem goes online. I will attempt to kill you. And, like, in the defense of the players in that game, people did have interaction. And this is, unlike Scarecrow's combo, this is something that you can interrupt with interaction. People tried to counterspell the Trickery Charm into a pirate. People tried to kill the Battered Golem itself. He just had enough counter magic in hand to stop it because they gave him a draw.
Yep.
It came down exactly to the cards he ripped off the top of his deck in his draw phase, and because he was able to tap this Battered Golem once to hit the Quicksilver Dagger draw. That's what gave him enough card draw to win the game. But still, it was this exact same situation where he was just like, here's the game-ending combo. Like, you shouldn't let me have this. And everyone was like, you can have it. And they gave him the untap, they gave him the draw step, they gave him the Tavern Brawler upkeep triggers, and they were like, now we'll try to deal with it. And like, child, it is far too late. Like,
it is. Yeah.
Please,
way too late.
Please just, like, when someone tells you they're going to kill you, it's okay to use removal at sorcery speed. Like, you don't have to wait until they have an untap step and a draw step and a Tavern Brawler. You don't have to wait for them to get 17 more resources than you have before you try to stop this. You can try to stop it right away. Like,
not all interaction has to be end of turn, instant speed.
You don't have to surprise him with it. You can just go for it.
They're expecting it.
Yeah, you could just. Did you know you could just go for it?
That's the moral of this tournament for me. So it really was. I spent 5 hours in the commentator's booth, like, slowly ripping out my hair, being like, "What are they thinking?" Which means this entire podcast is a call-out post for everyone. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Y'all need to do a better job of killing Vizkopa Guildmage.
Yes. Yep. That's your takeaway.
Yep. The end.
How do you feel about running through some of the decks we saw? Not like necessarily deck techs or like card for card action, but just sort of like what we saw, what people were talking about, what caught people's attention, that sort of thing, and then we'll wrap it up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we can go through this real fast.
I can go through them real fast. You ready?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
This man is just gonna read words.
Yes,
go.
All right, here we go. All right, the decks at the event. Top 4 were Vizkopa Guildmage, Aranus and Street Urchin stickers, Sprite Dragon.
Let's shout out the stickers. Hello. Stickers at a 1K. Come on.
Stickers in a 1K.
Amazing.
Top 4 of a 1K. And Risen Reef. The color breakdown in the top 4 is 1 white deck, 2 blue decks, 1 black deck, 2 red decks, and 2 green decks. So a pretty even distribution.
0 decks.
Zero what?
Combo. I mean, I guess
right.
Vizkopa's combo.
Vizkopa's a combo deck.
Not
combo-ish, yeah.
Combo, yeah, it's combo-ish.
I feel like the stickers play into some sort of like combo, but I don't think it's a combo
not a
for the
reliable
win. I'm not really
combo.
sure.
Stickers aren't.
Right.
No, we're not. No.
We're not going there.
Shut that right down. Let the man talk.
Right.
The other interesting decks of the day were Floodgate, Lot Left Troll, Mahadi, Disciple of Deceit, which had a round 1, turn 4 combo win, Rocco Slivers, Munitions Expert, Mayhem Devil, Phyrexian Censor, Good Fortune Unicorn, Falconer Adept, 2 Aethersworn Sphinx, neither of which were piloted by me, a Mother of Runes banding Typal deck, and Noggle Ransacker. The color breakdown being 6 white decks, 4 blue decks, 5 black decks, 5 red decks, 3 green decks of these other interesting decks. And the reason we say other interesting is because there were a few Malcolms, a few Gretchens, and a few Guts, but nobody cares about those. Everyone's tired of seeing them. Come on, guys. I know.
Well said, my friend. Well said.
Gator Puzzle, Clay, I love you. They're boring.
I know for a fact there were 2 Abdel decks there.
Oh, there were? Okay, I didn't see any Abdel. Okay, cool.
And then there was at least 1 Rilsa deck. Notable because we expected them and they were conspicuously absent. There were no Tatiovas, 2018 Tatiova, no Parcel Beasts, no Izzet Guild Mages, no Toast, and no other Orzhov, which was surprising because I honestly think right now in the meta, white and black are 2 of the strongest colors.
Yeah,
if you're not playing Simic,
sure
you're probably playing Orzhov.
Yeah, I fully expected to see a Sadistic Pilgrim or something of that nature.
Yeah, but
yeah, it was just Scarecrow.
Yeah, so that's what we got going for us. There was recently as in today of recording, and for those of you listening, 48 hours ago, BDM put an article up on the RIW Hobbies page about the event with the top 4 deck lists, and I believe Clay of the CPDH Guide and the Common Connoisseurs got a hold of all of the deck lists and is making some kind of content in the near future about that.
Yep, I think they're going to be added to the database. You'll be able to view them just like you do any other data. It's going to be awesome.
And I'm going to create a snapshot of my deck as was at the event. And I'm going to send that link to Brad to hopefully be in the description of the video, of the audio.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, one thing I loved about this event is not only that it happened, I mean, that's great, and 44 people played in it, but it was, we had little bitty children playing in the event. We had brand new players playing in the event. We had players that were not only new to Magic, but new to the format playing in the event. There was so many, and the variety of players, the variety of decks that we had was just awesome. It was a really, if we had 44 people there and it was all Malcolms and Gretchens and Guts and Rilsas and Parcel Beasts, I would have been like, I'll probably be here next year. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't have been as interesting. It would have been awesome that everyone showed up, but the event itself wouldn't have been as interesting. But these are great. We had 44 players and we probably had 30 different decks. That's pretty cool to me, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the things I found the funniest was when I wasn't commentating, or whenever the round ended and I was commentating, I tried to make it over to the event hall or the event Flaming Biscuit or whatever it is, with enough time to kind of check in on the players, check in on you, Liam, see how you did. And almost every time, whether I talked to him directly or I walked past a conversation, there was always someone saying, that guy was playing Phyrexian Censor. That had to be the most talked about deck. He's like, we all drew. We got to draw. All 4 of us got to draw.
And
Phyrexian Censor.
He did really well with the Censor. He went 1-2-1. He won a match. He took 2 games to draws.
Yeah.
He was rocking that Censor.
Oh, it was just hilarious. It just caught so many people by surprise. It was funny. Oh, I found that hilarious. I did not get to see the Aethersworn Sphinx deck, so but I think I pretty much caught at least parts of games with all these decks, so that was really cool.
The Aethersworn Sphinx decks had me, or at least not the decks, the pilots, because I didn't see any of the decks all day, but the pilots, the 2 that were playing it in the tournament, tracked me down by my playmat, because I was the only one with the PDH Pod playmat in the event. And they were like, hey, you're Liam, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, so you're totally playing Sphinx today, right? And in my head, I was just like, no. Why are you asking that?
You didn't realize you were branded.
Yeah, they were like, well, Sphinx is your competitive deck. It's your signature deck. I'm like, is it now? I was not aware of this.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, and thanks for letting me know. But yeah, both of those players actually had me sign the Sphinx, which was neat. But
Oh, that's
the,
hella cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, right. The one was actually running pretty damn close to my list of what RIW had in stock of my list. The one was just a completely custom list, but it was like, okay, turns out I need to be playing this at events now. I'm okay with
Right.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, another highlight, real quick. Gator came from the farthest, geographically the furthest to play at the event, so they threw him a free collector pack just for coming the furthest.
Yep.
I don't know how to describe the version, but he opened in Elvish language the One Ring.
Yeah,
I think it was Elvish, but not serialized.
Yes, he opened.
Yeah, not serialized.
He opened the Elvish language Elven Art Soul Ring non-serialized. It's not serialized,
There we go.
but there are still only 3,000 copies in the world.
And he still placed high enough in the tournament to make his entry fee back.
Yep.
So that dude just had a killer financial weekend.
Oh yeah.
Good for him.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Like he flew up here, played in the tournament, and ended up making a good amount of money. So that's awesome. Good on him. I just thought that was cool.
I've just looked up the Soul Ring on TCG. Looks like it's about $600.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, he went to the front desk or the counter to maybe sell it at the shop, and they were like, man, the price is so volatile right now. Like, it's all over the place. This is opening weekend for it. Like, maybe in a week or two we'd buy it from you. And Gator's like, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with just taking that home with you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because they did offer him a little bit of money, but they were just upfront about it. Like, hey, we don't know what the price is going to do, so our offer is literally like $200 or something, $100. So he's like, nope, I'm good. He's like, it's a mythic. What am I going to do with it?
Right?
So, but yeah, that was awesome. So all in all, an amazing event. I am 100% already looking forward to next year, even though it took me until about 4 hours ago to fully recover from staying up late, drinking all night, not sleeping, playing PDH, talking about games all weekend. So 100% going to do it again. Any final thoughts, any parting thoughts on our event here, guys, before we get on out of here?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm all set. Just that
All right.
it was a remarkable experience, and if you were at this one, great. I loved seeing you. I expect you at the
Yes.
next one. If you didn't make this one, I still expect you at the next one.
Yes, 100%. So we had, 10 or 12, maybe 14 of us. I want to see like 20 or 30 next year. Let's double it.
Double it at least.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. I think we're going to move on into the outro. So, as like usual, a few more things before we wrap it up for the week. If you need more Pauper Commander talk or have any questions about the format, you can always email the show at the pdhpod@gmail.com or head on over to the PDH Homebase's website. You can get right to their Discord server from there. You can find the show on Twitter at the PDH Pod or Liam at Pauper Command and myself at Pauper_B. And as always, you can find Dave as the Alcatron literally everywhere else PDH is being talked about. And I think that's going to wrap up episode 55 for this week. So as that comes to a close, we want to give a big thanks to MTG Brad for letting us use their sweet tunes for the show. And from everyone in here to everyone out there, brew a deck, play some PDH, and we'll see you in person next year. Peace.
Peace. Cheers.
See ya.
Awesome.
I always say cheers, but then I
brought Pauper decks to the party. Pauper. I brought Pauper decks to the party.